Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jeff, and I've got Chad again, and we've added Tiffany. So we're like,
Yay!
that's like, I don't know, taking us to like an nth power of awesomeness when we do
Yeah.
that. So, just coming off another great mastery chat tonight. Teresa Gross did an amazing job. We were talking about our reading and writing lives and how we build those and create those in a classroom community. And it was a really good chat. Like, it was exciting. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Tiffany,
Yeah,
how was the chat?
it was awesome.
That's good. Good
It
to
was
know.
awesome.
Good.
No,
How-
it was
go
really
ahead.
good. No, I mean, like, there were a lot of really interesting moments that happened when people were talking about the question about, like, who are you as a reader or writer? Like, I
Yeah.
thought that was just really interesting.
Mhm.
And that was an answer for me that really kind of made me stop and reflect, like, with myself. So it was
Right.
it was really good. It's good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
One of my favorite responses to that question, Tiffany, was
Yeah.
someone was like, "Oh, I try to view reading and writing as like I do working out. Like the more I do it, the better I become, and the more routine it becomes." And
Right.
that makes fundamental sense to me. But I'd never really thought of it that way, but I think it's totally true because if I get on a writing kick, I get better at writing. If I
Sure.
start reading more, I get used to doing that more often. So,
Yeah.
and I also think it's the same thing with our students, right? If we get them used to doing it more often, they're gonna acclimate to doing that more often. So, giving them all those opportunities, I think, is huge. And I loved the fact that we saw teachers from, I think, almost every discipline tonight, not just language arts teachers.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
We saw teachers from every single discipline talking about how they're implementing writing and reading in their classroom, which is the way it should be, right?
Mhm.
I hate when teachers think that writing and reading should only be in an ELA classroom. So seeing like Teach Better Nation kind of show up in force tonight and kind of with authority say that, hey, I'm a math teacher or social studies teacher or whatever, and reading and writing are every day in my classroom. Like, that was really cool. I love that.
Well, and it's interesting to me. There was somebody, I don't remember who, but they were in their introduction post. They were just like, I am in school studying to be an elementary teacher with a reading concentration, and I'm looking to get ideas for reading and writing time.
Yeah.
And that to me, it was just like, hold up, it's not reading writing time, it's communicating learning time, right? And that is
right.
like, so it's always bothered me how, especially in elementary schools, how divided the schedule is. And part of this is perhaps inspired by the fact that I've been an IB teacher, international baccalaureate teacher, for a really, really long time. And they are super against this isolated teaching, writing, teaching, reading, etc. But reading and writing does not exist without context. It does not exist without content.
Yeah.
And so for me, if I want to teach a lesson about author's purpose, I'm going to find a connection to the science content or social studies content or current events or something, so that it's not, this is writing block. And if I don't like writing, I don't like this.
Yeah.
It's just communicating. It's just
Well,
life.
it's the same thing with like the silent sustained reading, or like prescribing like everyone reads silently for 30 minutes and we're gonna read. Like I love giving the time for that, right? Like, you have to give like time, but like I've seen that used like ineffectively in a way that you're kind of explaining right now, where it almost becomes a chore for the students. It's not something that they're enjoying doing. Whereas if you're embedding the same amount of reading within the contents of your curriculum, like, it completely changes the equation, and it lets them see the value of that reading, because like reading for reading's sake becomes meaningless.
Well, and I think there's so many great ideas, like drop everything and read, Dear Time, right? Like, a lot of people love it. A lot of kids love it because they actually get to read when the rest of the day they're being told, put your book away.
Sure, yeah.
But with so many things in education, it's if you use it the right way. You know what I mean? Like, if you set it up the right way. If you say, for Dear Time today, everybody has to go read a nonfiction book. I mean, that's not really giving kids the option to read to enjoy reading, you know? And so much reading becomes such a chore in classrooms, and a lot of kids are like, I just don't want to read because I don't know. So that bugs me, but it's all about how it's used. It's really the point of what I'm saying here. All of these strategies.
In the same kind of strand, I've also like the shift towards like more reading clubs, like multiple students reading like the same text or similar text, so they can actually like discuss it, find meaning together, and collaborate in their understanding of the text. And so there's a lot of really, really cool things happening. A lot of the cool things that we saw happening tonight in the chat. So that was really exciting.
I'm going to jump in real quick, say hi to Susan, to Ray, and to Tina commenting on us there. Also, speaking of things that happened in the chat today, we were also trending tonight.
Woo!
Which was pretty awesome. So
yeah,
that was a big one. So shout out to all you guys and to Teresa for an awesome one. We had a lot of teachers checking in while they were
busy.
Yeah, after they told us they weren't going to come.
Yeah.
There's 2 or 3 of them that like had tweeted earlier that they weren't going to come because they had an open house or they had curriculum or something like that. And they were still checking in and people popping in and stuff. So so that was
that's so cool to me.
That was a lot of fun.
But what does that say though? I mean that's so cool to me that like you have these teachers that they're on like a 12 to 14 hour day at this point. Right, mm-hmm. Like they teach all day. They have to, and they're focused on getting better and participating in this amazing PLN. Right, like I mean, like it doesn't get better than that.
There were a couple newbies tonight. A couple people who had never been in the chat before. And I love every time there's somebody new because it's just like, we've got you now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like you're trapped.
I can't remember what his name was. Can't remember what his name was, but he said, great to be first time here, looking or excited to expand my PLN. And I'm like, oh, you came to the right place.
Oh, yeah.
So it's good. And then, of course, Susan always has to like do the tearjerker.
I know, every
messages.
Time. So she's in her first. Is it week 2 for her of her new job?
She can correct us there, but I think she's just in second week. Yeah.
So give us like a 10-word summary, Susan. Of is it going okay? Are you freaking out? Is it fabulous?
She did say. Let's see what she says here. All right, there she is. She's still with us because she said she loves Mass Chat. So maybe Susan will give us 10 words of how her year's going so far.
It doesn't have to be 10, just like a general overview would be great.
Speaking of words and word limits, there was somebody in the chat who was talking about how like he has students write a 280 word or no 140, he said he was old school, or 140 character like response to something, like essentially write a tweet, right? And I love doing that kind of activity with students and forcing them to like, okay, I know what you want to say. You only have 140 characters to do it.
Yeah.
And, we do this all the time in our chats. It's like, how do I get this message across clearly and concisely? And what an amazing communication tool that is. How many of us have gotten like a 7-paragraph email and we're like, yeah, that was a little too much. That was just a neat little teaching strategy. I love.
It's actually something that I talk about in my social media session.
Is it really?
It is, yes.
You.
That's a fun one. It's the one you and I have talked a lot about. I can't remember. There was another chat where we talked about like how constraints allow us to really grow in a lot of ways because we have to be creative. I think it was on probably one of the creative.
Yes, it
maybe.
was.
All right, so here, first off, John. Hi, John. John says Master Chat feeds and restores, especially after a busy day. We love you, John.
Yes.
Yeah,
and Susan said everything is going well. I taught my students about growth mindset, and I taught them that fail means first attempt in learning. I love it.
We need to send her a poster.
Awesome. We
Good
need
idea.
to send her. Doesn't already have it. Shelly says great conversations on communication versus reading and writing. Love it.
Yes.
Amber says hi.
Hi, Amber.
So yeah, great chat tonight. Very, very cool. Next week's chat, and Amber, you can make sure that I have this correct, is the topic is innovative teaching practices with tech. And the moderator is Tommy Navikas, who's from ISU, it looks like.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
The ISU education handle. So So that'll be a fun one. That'll be a lot of fun to talk about there. Yeah, Tiff's going to love that one with the tech stuff and talking about ed tech tools. So that'll be exciting there.
What did she say?
Ray is referencing our Teach Better Talk podcast. If you haven't listened to an episode of the chat, question number 6, I force our guests to do 6 questions with 15 seconds or less each. And Ray typically comments how I'm always like, all right, you got 30 seconds, go. And it's like not something you can possibly do in 30 seconds to answer and stuff. So she's
do they ever actually conform to those time restraints?
Yeah, well, a lot of them hit pretty close.
Yeah.
But sometimes they'll go on, but anyone who has gone on past, it's well worth it. Like
I'm sure, right?
It's all good stuff. So, no, it's been good so far. Which, speaking of, if you didn't already know, Chad and I touched on it earlier, but the Teach Better Talk podcast launched officially on Monday.
Yay! Now on iTunes
1, 2, and 3. It's on iTunes, on Google Podcasts, on Breaker, on Stitcher, on Anchor FM, on something else, on Pocket Cast, on a whole bunch. I think we're on nine different platforms, so it's on there. So you guys check that out. The first 3 episodes are live right now. You can stream them and or download them. You got Adam Peterson for episode 1. You've got the amazing Ryan Sheehy, author of Be the One, on there for episode 4. And you got the super fun Josie Bensko, who's actually now at Ray's school out in Illinois.
That's cool.
We had a good time, and like I mentioned earlier, just if you have no other reason to go listen to it, go listen to Josie so you can hear when we embarrass her, because it was a lot of fun. And I know she appreciates me pointing that out. But all 3 of them were awesome conversations, and we have some really great ones coming up. The launching next week is actually Thomas C. Murray, who Tiffany, you saw with us out at Summer Spark this year.
Yeah, he's fabulous.
Phenomenal, like just so much wisdom in his. I think he's like 19 plus years as a teacher, and now for the last several years has been working with trying to get the government in order as far as education goes. He's a best-selling author. He's phenomenal keynote, and it was a good. The episode is pretty much what you expect from him, just a pure awesomeness. So,
and that comes Monday, right?
That should be on Monday. Yes.
Awesome.
Really good stuff. So that's been awesome. We've had a great response. Been a lot of fun to see everyone's response to those things and how they're liking the podcast stuff so far. But we also have something pretty cool coming tomorrow. Tiff,
I think so.
You think so? I agree.
Like, okay, so is it midnight that it goes live, or is it like 8 o'clock in the morning that it goes live? Like, can people stay up and get the goods, or do they have to wait till the morning?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So tomorrow morning, my brand new course. I'm really excited about it, guys. It's called Bite-Sized Mastery. It is like, I'm super stoked. I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to eat up too much time taking away from the Mastery Chat debrief, because I want to talk more about that.
I get what you're doing there.
I really didn't think to, but I totally did, right? Okay, so Bite-Sized Mastery, what is it? We work with a lot of teachers, and I have spent hours talking to teachers in my own school buildings and other school buildings about shifting their classroom to a mastery learning structure. And so the way I do it is with the grid method, and that's a full unit-based, extensive mastery learning approach. And some people just get so overwhelmed by it that they stop before they even start. And I'm not okay with that, right? Like, I'm like, no, you can do this. You can do mastery learning. So bite-sized mastery learning is really a way to show people like, hey, you might not be ready for full unit mastery learning, but let's look at how you can do it in a day or 2 days as kind of a stepping stone or a launching point to go further and take it to the next level. But for now, let's just nibble on it.
Just nibble on it. It's like a mouse thing or something. So that's out. That's awesome. That's going to be launched tomorrow morning. And like we talked about earlier, like we were saying, if you're already a member and you already have the $9 a month membership to the Academy, you don't have to do anything. You will be automatically enrolled in that immediately as soon as we launch it. So that's already there. Yeah. But it's good. It's 33 modules, 33 video modules.
I make really
There's
long
some downloadable resources and stuff. There's like links for reference and stuff. You'll get a certificate of completion for that. You get a digital badge to show off how awesome you are, and it qualifies if you're in Ohio or another state that might look at it. If you need your gifted hours, it does qualify for that as well for twos. So that's awesome stuff. So
Yeah.
What is? She says, I want a little bite of a mastery classroom. You need TIFF scores. Hour tomorrow.
What perfect timing. We're talking about bite-sized mastery, and I have little bite-sized pieces of peanut butter fudge that my daughter made for me.
I was about to say I have little bite-sized pieces of fruit.
Look at the
I'm not eating anything. I'm not. I didn't get the memo that we were supposed to be eating on camera tonight. I'm sorry.
It worked out really, really well.
So,
although this does make me think, like, you realize during the live training we're going to have to provide some sort of.
I know.
Normally provide food. Like,
when we go places and train people on bite-sized mastery.
Well, maybe candy bars or something.
Well, a lot of times we do like we do granola bars. We could just break off the granola bars in a bunch of little pieces, and they have.
Yeah, but that's just gross for people, right?
Like that's bars, right? Like the mini.
Who wants that? Who wants? I don't want no broken off piece of granola bar. Like, I don't know where that's been. Like, you creeping people
Okay.
out.
Anyway, I want to talk about something connected to the chat.
Do it.
Can we do that? Okay.
Yeah, because earlier, Tiff, we went on talking about Ray fighting a bear and stuff, so we need you here to keep us like reeled in here. It could get really bad.
It's okay. So, I was telling Jeff and Chad about what I did earlier today, and I spent the whole day. It was amazing. I went and saw the Infinity Mirrors exhibit at the Cleveland Museum of Art. An amazing exhibit, breathtaking, phenomenal. Wow. But one of the things that they had like in the gift shop was this little book. It was a picture book, and I read it, and it was just like mind blown. And it was this story of a girl who said that she wasn't an artist and that she couldn't draw. And her art teacher was trying to like say like, yes, you can, come on, let's do something. And so the art teacher, I'm not going to do this very eloquently, but just bear with me. The art teacher said, well, can you just do a dot? Can you just put the pencil on the paper? And so the girl did. And then her teacher said, now sign it. And so the girl was like, why do you want me to sign this? And so she put her name on it. The next day, the teacher had taken this blank piece of white paper with one single dot on it and the child's signature, framed it and put it behind her desk, right? Like just prominently displayed. And the little girl said, oh, I can do a better dot than that. And then went on to create all of this amazing artwork, focus on like a dot, a polka dot, right? And to me, that is just such a beautiful parallel to the chat that we had tonight about readers and writers. And one of the questions was, I don't remember what it was, but it was something about like how you encourage, I know, I'm a mess, how you encourage them like to see themselves as readers or writers, or how you show them that you're a reader and writer. And simply taking a moment to recognize you wrote something. Mm-hmm. Like you might think it's junk. You might think it's awful. You might think you're a terrible writer or a terrible reader, but to take wherever that kid is right there and celebrate it. And it was just, that's what we need to do. We need our kids to believe that this is where I am and this is okay. And this is something to be proud of and recognize. I'm not crying, you're crying, Ray. I know. I was reading this book and I was like, oh, because it so applies and it's just so beautiful. I want to make my students feel like their dot on a piece of paper is valuable. That's why I do what I do.
I don't know if we can say anything more than that, any better than that. It's beautiful.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Yeah. No, that's it's that, but that was I was glad that we saw a lot of that in the chat today. That's such a big thing of just, it goes beyond reading and writing, goes beyond to anything in their lives, right? And anything, and showing them that they can do this.
Yeah,
maybe you know what I mean. They're able to do that. Like that's such a big piece of that. So,
yeah,
love it. Sometimes teachers need that as well.
Yeah,
there's a huge leap between I've never done that and I can do that better, right? And that only takes a single moment to occur.
Yeah,
because until you've tried something, until you've done something, until we've provided students the opportunity to attempt something, they can't do it better, right? But getting them to take that first step allows us to then build that conversation. And I think a lot of times teachers get stuck in the conversation of like, for example, we were with a lot of teachers and they're all amazing, but every once in a while there'll be one that they're focused on writing a story, but they can't stop harping on the student about grammar, or they can't stop harping on the student about sentence structure or punctuation or things like that. And it always kind of irks me the wrong way, because that shouldn't be the focus. The focus should be like, are they being creative? Are they expressing their ideas? Is there a good plot or story there to build on? But what can happen if improperly implemented is you can tear a student down so much on all the things they're not good at that they don't even see the things that they are good at. So I think that's a huge component, and I think that kind of brings us back to, the awesome dot story that Tiffany told. Because if you don't let students see the value in their own work, they won't either.
So I was going to go a different direction. I love that direction, but what I was talking about is actually like that teachers need that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because first off, for some reason I don't think the comments are showing up. So Tina suggested a book called Dot Day, and she did leave it. And thank you. She left it in the comments as well. So where I was the other way to take that is that we see amazing teachers all over the place that have amazing things going on in their classroom.
Yeah.
And we talk about sharing it and getting out. And there are a lot of teachers just say, well, that's just what I do in my classroom. It's nothing special. Yeah. It's just me doing me. And I think a lot of teachers place, and I'm actually sort of foreshadowing in this a couple lines that Thomas C. Murray says in the podcast episode. So if you like this, you'll get there. But that, he talks a lot about how leaders, it's leader by action, not by title. Meaning that, and so many teachers don't necessarily look at themselves as a teacher. They don't believe that they can teach, or that they can lead their colleagues, that they can lead other teachers, that they can share and bring value that way. And I think you say it all the time, Chad. So now we all say it, that every issue you're having in a classroom, there's a solution somewhere in a classroom somewhere where someone else has put it on. And that teacher, just either you haven't crossed paths with them, or possibly they haven't shared it because they don't realize that they are capable of being this amazing mentor to other teachers and sharing things and stuff like that. So I think it's really important that we as colleagues and as whether you're an admin, teacher, whatever, that we're also instilling that same belief in the amazing teachers that we see every day, that, hey, you have amazing things going on. You have value to share with, not just with your students, but also with your colleagues and your PLN on Twitter and on Mastery Chat and things like that. So I think that's an important piece too, to see yourself as that.
And so much of that conversation, and the conversation about encouraging students to see themselves in these different lights, it reminds me of, okay, so I like yoga. Okay, segue here. I love yoga. And namaste in yoga, it's something you say at the end, right? And it means the light in me honors the light in you. And so what all of this is to me is about honoring the light in the students we work with, in the teachers we work with, taking a minute to say, this is let's honor where you are right now, and let's see where you are right now, and then go from there. And that's the whole Teach Better philosophy. That's what we believe. Where are you? What's amazing about what you're doing? And let's take it to the next level. Maybe I'm just having a lot of feels because I spent all day in art, but this was just a really impactful topic for me. I loved it.
That lines up. It makes sense.
It does.
Good stuff. So, where are we going with this? I don't know where else to take it. Any before we go, we didn't really get to it. We kind of touched a little bit on it, but were there any answers or anything that really popped out from you? We touched on a few different ones in the mix of our conversation, but anything else that's coming to mind as far as someone that said something that really got you? There was one that I had and I don't remember what it was, but Teresa replied back. I don't remember who it was, but she said, the teacher, whoever it was that responded, said something along the lines of that she tries to instill the reading and writing in their students, and she does times, but she's basically, in her own words, she said she's afraid to put herself out there as a writer. And Teresa answered perfectly, saying that's not what we want to instill in our students. We want them to know that they can do that too. We need to model that that it's okay to be afraid, fight through that, and write and share what you're writing and stuff like that. I thought that was a really cool point too. Is to get up to the point where like, and it all goes back to you wrote something.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be this masterpiece, right? So let's share it. It doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to wait until it's a masterpiece to share it. You wrote something. You're being creative. You're learning along your way. Like, share it.
And the teacher modeling that.
Yes.
Yeah. They're explicitly modeling that they are afraid and that they're not perfect. And
that's what I was going to say. Absolutely.
Huge. That's huge.
Like, look, hey guys, I'm really scared, but I'm about to publish this blog, or I'm about to post this thing online, or I'm about to distribute this to my friends, or I'm
about to share this with you right now. I'm going to read it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just that. I mean, just that you're not afraid to do that
conversation, right? Like, some of the best teachers I've ever seen are not afraid to fail in front of their students because it helps them connect with their students.
Mm-hmm.
Some teachers are afraid to show any sort of weakness or failure or make a mistake. And that's one of the worst things you can do as a teacher, because it dehumanizes you from your students.
Mm-hmm.
Letting them see you as a human allows you then to connect with them as a human.
Yes, and recognize their humanity too. Right. You know what I mean? Like,
and for them to recognize yours as well.
Yes.
Then you can get to this deeper level of connection that can then allow some of the academic growth to occur around that. Letting them know that you're afraid too. That's a huge step. And because there's going to be 1 or 2 or 5 or 8 or 10 students in your class that are also afraid to publish their work or share their feelings. So you being explicit about that is a huge step. Absolutely.
And again and again, it comes around and around with mastery chats we have, blogs we write, courses, like again and again, we cannot remove the academic content from the human and the humanity, right? Like, I mean, we hear this on Twitter with the phrase relationships first. And we hear this when middle school teachers talk about being part counselor, part science teacher, right? You know, like, the two are intrinsically married, and you cannot simply teach science or simply teach math. That does not work in the world. You have to teach humanness. You have to be a real person and see their real personness. I don't care if we're talking about reading, writing, you name it. That is a thread, that is a trend that goes through everything that we do. I love it. It's awesome. It's awesome.
All right. And on that note, next week, don't forget, next week's topic, innovative teaching practices with tech with Tommy Navikas. I think I'm saying his name right. Hopefully, Tommy's so excited about that. 8 o'clock next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're like Ray, it's 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
But we'll be here live. We'll be here live before that, and we'll be here live after that. Don't forget, the new course launches tomorrow. So pay attention to social media and go over to teachbetteracademy.com. Get the $9 membership. You get every course we have, including the new course, automatically. You get that for life as long as you're a member. Every course we put out, you get it. The price never changes. And make sure you jump over on iTunes or whatever your preferred platform is. Listen to Teach Better Talk podcast. Episodes 1, 2, and 3 out now. Episode 4 coming out next week with Tommy C. Murray. So until next week, guys, thank you. Yeah, there's a lot going on. So go get it all. And, we still also have a couple blogs and stuff over on our website at teachbetter.com too. So head on over there. So, all right, guys. Until then, we'll see you next week.
Bye.